Going live. Hey, folks, I had a stream up for like 2 weeks now, preview of it, and YouTube, in all its wisdom, decided to delete it for whatever reason. So here we are on a different, I had to create a new stream here. So we're good to go now. We are in here with Michelle. Michelle is a crime victim advocate. We're going to be talking to her tonight. So tell me, what exactly does a victim advocate do? What do you do?
We stress out a lot. So to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here, I used to run retail stores, AT&T retail stores here in Houston, and starting back in the end of 2018, all the way through 2019 and the beginning of 2020, we started having a lot of armed robberies in our stores. In my store in particular, we had 13 armed robberies. And they just kept getting worse and worse. And then we noticed that a lot of them were repeat offenders. And I was really confused. I didn't know anything about the criminal justice system other than what you see on TV, Law and Order, cops, whatever. I didn't know anything about the court process, any of it. And so I was really flabbergasted on how people were in and out of jail so quickly. Nobody was being held accountable. Nobody's getting jail time. Everybody's getting probation. Didn't understand what was going on until I started really digging into it. One of my customers was actually a bail bondsman. And as I was complaining to him about, thinking he's the bad guy, like, well, gosh, these people are getting out of jail. You guys are bailing them out and bailing them out. Is when he finally sat down and he said, what do you know about bail? And I was like, nothing. You go to jail, you call your mom and they have to get you out of jail. And he said, I mean, typically that's how it used to be. But what you don't know is what's going on in Harris County. He said Harris County has just recently entered into the O'Donnell consent decree. So what happened was, of course, our jail is full. Harris County is the third most populous county in the nation. And we have a lot of people and we have a lot of crime. And so civil rights lawyers decided that people were languishing in the jail because they couldn't afford to get out. And they said that, people that are poor are going to be the ones that are stuck in jail because they can't get out of bail. So now they entered in, they actually sued Harris County and entered into this consent decree that basically anybody charged with the misdemeanor gets out of jail for free. That's great in theory. Does it work? And not necessarily. The monitors will say that it does, but it definitely does not, because what happened is that practice then carried over into the felony courts. And so people that were committing felonies are now getting out of jail for free. PR bonds, personal recognizance bonds, where they just, swear a pinky promise that they're going to come back. And what we're seeing is that these people are not only not coming back to court, they are then committing more crime. And that really bothered me. And so I started really researching, talking to everybody involved in the criminal justice system, from, defense attorneys, prosecutors, judges, inmates, prisoners in TDC, everybody involved with the criminal justice system, trying to figure out where there's loopholes and why these things are happening. And not every single part of the criminal justice system definitely has some loopholes that need to be fixed. None of them is perfect. And until we get those kinds of things fixed, we're going to continue to see an influx in crime victims. One of the biggest things that I noticed throughout the trials that I had to go through is that crime victims were very much left alone in the process. I'm sitting there in court and, trials going on, and it's just me and the prosecutor, who is not representing me. They're representing the state. They're there to get justice, whether it's an acquittal or a conviction. So I don't have an attorney representing me. But across the way, he had a court-appointed lawyer their assistants, their paralegals. He's in brand new clothes. His whole family's been brought to court. His preacher, his brothers, everybody's brought to court. They didn't have to pay to park. They didn't have to pay for any of this. And I'm having to pay out of pocket. I'm having to go down just to get a setting reset over and over and over and over and over. And every time I go, I'm having to spend, $20, $30 to park, take time off of work. All of this is becoming an expense for me. And with 13 robberies, and there's 4 and 5 people at each robbery, there's a lot of trials. And so it was very expensive for me, and I didn't have help, and there's nobody there explaining what this setting means, what is happening. Why are we even discussing a plea deal? Like, these are not things that are explained. And I have nobody there with me. There's nobody there sitting and bringing me to court to where I don't have to pay to park, and making sure that, I was okay with my bills because I had to take so much time off of work, and it bothered me. And then the more and more that I was sitting around, the more and more victims I'm hearing have the same story. And so I started going to different events at Crime Stoppers and other organizations that help crime victims, and I'm hearing the same thing from every victim. Like, we're alone, we don't know what's going on, what's happening, we don't know what happens next. And so I decided that I wanted to use my pain as an outlet to educate and help other victims. And so I started going to court with other victims. If I'm just going to sit there and hold your hand, explain what's going on, do you need a ride? I'll pay for us to park. I can take you. We can go talk to the district attorney together. We can go do this together so that victims are not alone. And then we started all turning up at the same places, the same core group of victims, and we decided to organize. And so we organized into a group. It's called Texas Crime Victims United, and we have decided that we're going to use this group. We are all crime victims or survivors to fight for crime victims' rights in the state of Texas. And so last year was the first time as an organized group that we went down to the state legislature and we started testifying for bills like Proposition 3, the constitutional amendment that was just passed, that would hold repeat violent offenders in jail without bail after a hearing. If a judge decides that they truly are a menace to society, they can now hold them without bail on very specific violent felonies, so that they're not out making more victims because somebody feels bad that they had to pay to get out of jail. Nobody was feeling bad for us. Nobody was feeling bad that we had to take time off of work. Nobody was feeling bad about the trauma and the PTSD and the anxiety and the therapy and everything else we had to go through. Everything seemed very one-sided. And the O'Donnell consent decree is the one thing that I have dedicated myself to try to dismantle in Harris County because it literally made me a victim. The perpetrators who robbed my store were repeat violent offenders, some of them wearing ankle monitors from previous robberies, and they would get out of jail before I even was done doing inventory of my store for loss prevention and HPD. It's very frustrating. And so I have dedicated myself to making sure that nobody else becomes a victim the way that I did. And so that's what we started. And now that's what we do. We go to events, we go to court hearings with each other. We've had a few murder trials last year that we went through, and just making sure that victims are not alone, because I felt very alone, and most of us have throughout the process felt very alone. And now we're just making sure that nobody ever feels left behind.
Good for you. I did share some photos there where I tried to. Let's try that again. Okay, so these are photos of your store.
Yes, that is me sitting at the table right there, getting ready to do inventory on a Sunday morning. We had just opened. Typically, Sundays are very slow. So we would use the time to do things like, we had to do a full store inventory once a month, and we're getting ready to count. I'm texting with my boss like, hey, we're getting ready to start inventory, get prepared for the count. And here we've got these dudes come in with an assault rifle, pistols, and knives, and they just come in and strong arm. They're holding us at gunpoint. There were 3 of us in the store at the time. One of my sales reps was actually right by the back door as they came in, and he heard them come in, this is a robbery. And he ran out the back door and went. It's Sunday, everything is closed in our strip center, except for Wingstop was getting ready to open. So he runs over there, he's banging on their door, to call the cops. And of course, it takes a while for them to get there. And this is all very, very traumatizing. If you look at this one was in December. This was just a couple of weeks before Christmas, and we're going through an armed robbery. My assistant manager, standing over here to the right, had never been robbed before, and he didn't take it very well. He did not take it very well, and I felt very responsible for the people that work for me. These are my kids. These are, they're in the store with me, 10, 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week. I saw them more than I saw my own family, and we were close. We were a family, and I could only try to get them center their attention on me more than anybody else. I have the codes to the safe. I have the keys to the doors. Just leave these people alone and just try to get them in and out of the store as quickly as possible. This is scary. Wake up on a Sunday morning and you've got an AR-15 in your face being held by a 15-year-old full of adrenaline and stupidity.
Yeah. So I guess cell phone stores are a common target because I went into the store to switch my phone or something at one time and I left and it didn't get switched right. So I came back. Let me remove this here. Put us in the, there we go. So I go back to the store like 15 minutes later and they were like, oh, those 2 people that were in here when you were here, they just robbed us at gunpoint. Like,
Yeah.
what? I'm standing right next to them. They waited for me to leave. This is exactly
At
what
least
they
they
did. I was
did
going through
that.
some of that. They waited for me to leave.
They didn't always wait. We had some of these robberies. We did have customers in the store. There were people there that were robbed as well. And it was at that time, there was actually an armed robbery task force in the Heights, because retail robberies were escalating, right? And one of them was actually witnessed by one of the officers on the armed robbery task force. He was actually on his way to work, and my store was at the corner of 610 and Shepherd, right there at the intersection. And he was sitting at that red light, and he just was looking over. They're out here doing retail robbery, and he knows, he said he would just drive, and he was constantly looking at the stores to see what was going on. And he happened to look, and he sees somebody holding the door as a lookout, and he looks and he sees them holding us at gunpoint. And he said, okay, we've got a robbery in progress. And so he called it in. I didn't realize any of this was going on. Of course, I'm hitting the panic buttons. I'm trying to get HPD there as quickly as possible. He calls in his whole team. And so they didn't make it very far because he was following them the whole time. They made it like 2 exits down the road, got him. And then we're sitting in the store with the doors locked, waiting for the cops to show up, and nobody's coming. I call 911 back again. I'm like, are they coming? It's been like 30 minutes. Nobody showed up. And they said, oh yeah, they're still coming. And it's like, yeah, okay. And then finally a cop comes and she says, hey, just want to let you know, we haven't come here yet because there were witnesses and we already caught them all. So we're down the street with them, and then we're going to come back and bring them, and we're going to process the scene. Just keep the doors locked. We'll be back. And I said, okay. And then all of a sudden I see, this tow truck coming through the U-turn and pulling and it's, towing this car. And then it was like 30 HPD cops, and they filled the whole parking lot, and this whole task force gets out, and these guys are on the SWAT team, and they're, huge. And I was just like, what is happening? And that's when he told me I was at the red light and I saw what was going on, and I called everybody in, and apparently nothing else was going on a Sunday in the Heights. And so everybody showed up. And so they were able to catch those guys pretty quickly. And one of them was a 12-year-old girl. And she was not a first-time offender. She had been involved in this robbery ring before, and they found that it was organized crime. So there was a guy who was hiring these juveniles to go out and commit these robberies and steal a bunch of iPhones, and he was selling them in Dubai. And so he knows they're not going to go to jail. They're not going to get in any real trouble here in Harris County. And they're going to go rob these stores, get as much as they can. And then he was selling these phones overseas. That was a mess. Got people trying to.
I'm sitting at work one day and looking out the window. This car comes flying down the road, goes in the ditch, and it's a pretty deep ditch, sandwiches itself in the ditch so that whoever's in the car can't get out. Their doors are wedged in between this ditch. And next thing I know, it's like 10 HPD cars pull up. They're out, guns drawn. They're up on top of the car. They're yanking these kids. They're all kids, 4 teenagers. And so they get it all sorted out. And I'm talking to one of the officers out there, and he said, yeah, I've arrested these kids like 6 times in the last year. And it's for the same thing, car theft and unlicensed possession of firearm. And there they are, right back doing it again. So he said finally the one of them driving was 18 and he was in possession of a firearm that was stolen along with the car.
Of
So he's like,
course.
maybe I can get that one to stick. So that's a disturbing trend. I think a lot of the crime here is being committed by younger and younger people now all of a sudden.
It is. Actually, our sheriff posted about that the other day about the rise of juvenile crime. There's a lot of reasons why. The biggest reason is obviously the lack of accountability, and then not getting these kids before they commit crime. So we grew up. We had the Boys and Girls Club, and we had the YMCA, and we had all these mentorship programs that went into the schools and mentored kids that were in single parent homes and try to get them before they started committing crime. That's not happening now. What's happening is they're trying to do diversions and programs after they have committed a crime. So now they're excusing their crime and saying, well, yeah, you committed this crime, but instead, why don't you take this class? And then you don't have to worry about those charges. And so they're learning that they can just commit crime, go to court, take a class for a couple hours on a weekend, and then they don't have a criminal history, and they can just do it again. And
it's like gainful employment almost.
Yeah, I mean they're yeah. And on top of that, there was, then we have communities complaining that community policing is racist. Targeting high crime locations, that they're targeting the Black and brown community. And I listened to them say this, and then I went to a safety meeting, and it has all these professors from California and Pennsylvania and everywhere else that doesn't live here, never been a victim of violent crime. All these smart heads in there, and other law enforcement agencies are all there. And the sheriff was there, and our chief of police at the time was Troy Finner. And he said, at the time we had an issue with robberies in the Galleria. It was really picking up. It was getting very violent in the Galleria. And he said something that just hit me. And he said it as a Black man. And he said, we have the minority of the population committing the majority of the crime. And the way that we have to address that is with community policing. We have to show up where the crime is happening, and we have to show them that we're there. So we're going to be in our high crime neighborhoods. And are there Black and brown people there? Yes, for sure. But who's committing the crime? The Black and brown people. And I hate being called a crayon color more than anything in the world. I hate the whole Black and brown conversation. But he said, we're not going to be in full force in areas that are low in crime, because for what, right? We need to be in the areas out there. We need to show the community that we're trustworthy. We need to gain a relationship with our community. They need to know who we are. We need to know who they are. And that's a lot of the reasons of why, and they have complained about this as well. I live in Precinct 4. Okay. I refuse to move out of Precinct 4. My constables are amazing, and community policing is the best thing that they do. Our constables know who we are. They know if you don't belong here, and they're going to stop you and ask you, why are you here? Because they know you're not supposed to be here. We know who they are. And I know if I call the cops, they're going to show up, and they're going to show up quickly. And so when they're out here doing these community engagement programs, they're out here meeting the kids, they're out here showing who they are. We have a trust with our police force in our area, and that is missing in the inner city neighborhoods, because they're saying that cops targeting and doing community policing in those neighborhoods is just racial profiling, and it's racist, and they shouldn't be there. And it made sense to me when he's saying we need to be here, because if we show that we're here, that does drive crime down. And so why are people wanting to keep cops out of their neighborhood? Because they're committing crime.
So interject here and say, I believe we're talking to ourselves because it won't even let me join the stream. The stream we're on that says it's going live, it's up there. I'm looking at it on my phone on YouTube, but it is not letting me join, which is wild.
Oh yeah, I see it on YouTube. It's streaming.
Okay. For whatever reason, it's not letting me. Okay, I was just making sure. I don't want to.
Yeah, looks like we're there.
Okay, cool. All right, good deal. Maybe
But
it won't let me view it because I. Oh, okay. Good.
maybe
Good to
because you're
know.
in it.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, it looks like it's on there. But yeah, so the sheriff was talking about that the other day, about the rise in juvenile crime, and we've got to deal with, like I said, we need to get them before they commit crime, not after. And community policing it works. Not too far from me is a neighborhood called Cypress Station, and for a while there, Cypress Station was the most dangerous per capita neighborhood in Houston, and we just kept complaining and complaining and complaining about the crime, and they created a task force for this area, and they have been doing the community policing and really hitting this area hard. And in the last couple of years, there's been, an over 40% drop in violent crime. And the neighborhood is saying, like, this is the first time that I've gone outside and I see families outside having picnics at the park instead of being scared to go to the park. And so you see that it works. Why we're not implementing that in all of our neighborhoods is just beyond me. It's what needs to happen, because where you see them, it's a deterrent. Because if you know that there's going to be cops driving down that street all the time, you're probably not going to be standing out there like they were on a Sunday morning, holding people up at gunpoint, not realizing that Harris County and HPD is right on the same street, and you're going to get caught. So that really deters crime from happening before it happens. And then what we're seeing in the courts is that after crime happens, there's no accountability. They're not getting jail time. They're getting their charges dismissed. They're getting diversions. They're joining the trade unions. They're doing all of the everything else but being punished for their crimes. And the ones that are suffering are the victims. And we're not even involved in the process most of the time. I hear from crime victims all the time where they're like, dang, I haven't even talked to my prosecutor, and I found out that they've already struck a plea with this person. And they've never even called me. I've never even got a chance to write a letter. I never even got a chance to testify, nothing. They're already out of jail and they've already taken a plea. And we hear it a lot. And so the victims are being left behind.
So you know way more about this than I do, of course. I mean, I live in Harris County. I don't live in the city of Houston, but I live in Harris County, and I follow things, but you have a better understanding. Um, my understanding is a lot of these PR bonds are being granted by magistrates
Correct.
and not the actual.
Yes. So when they're first arrested, before we had jails in all the substations all around town. And then they would be processed, they'd be booked in. You could get bailed out right from the substation in their little mini jail. Now everybody that is booked in Harris County is processed through the Joint Processing Center. So everybody goes there. And they have hearing officers, our magistrates. So the first person that they see is this hearing officer who has a list. And it's like, you've been charged with what? Okay, yeah, you can get out for free. And they're just letting them out. And then they come back within 48 hours and they're arraigned by their home judge. So now they're in a court with an actual judge who can then decide to either keep their PR bond, raise it, lower it, whatever they want to do, and actually start the process going forward. But they're being and hearing the magistrates are hired. These are not elected judges. These are not people that we can hold accountable for the bail decisions that they're making. They're hired by their home judges who obviously are going to do whatever they want them to do, which is just let everybody out of jail for free. So we have
That's
unelected
where I was
judges
going with that.
making bail decisions, and we didn't elect these judges. They're hired.
Right. And even the judges that are in position right now, a lot of those run unopposed. Like
Hmm.
there's not a candidate running against them ever.
Yep.
So they just keep getting elected.
Hmm. By
Uh,
default, they
let
win
me,
before they don't even have to
yeah,
run a campaign because nobody's opposing them. And so that's a big issue we have in Harris County is that nobody's opposing these judges. And when they decide to oppose them, there's just not a whole lot of support because the judges that are sitting there have all the support because they're doing what they're told to do.
yeah, yeah. Um, just real quick here, I put together some headlines, and this is what I found searching for, you know, 2 minutes. Let me see. What am I doing here?
You'd almost have to look no further than Breaking Bond with Randy Wallace and Andy Kahn.
It's funny because the majority of the slides that I found, let's see here, were from Breaking Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Without Randy and Andy highlighting a lot of these things, the majority of the public wouldn't even know that it's happening. So I appreciate that they do spotlight what's going on so that people understand what our judges are doing. A lot of people don't realize the only people in the state of Texas that can determine how much bail will be for an offender is the judge, not the DA, nobody else. The judge and the judge alone is who sets bail in the state of Texas. And so we have a lot of misplaced blame. You know, Kim Ogg, when she was our district attorney, caught a lot of flack. People thought she was the one letting everybody out of jail, and that wasn't the case. It's the judges.
thanks.
Here we are.
So
Mm-hmm.
there we go. And I'm just going to flip through these just so that people get an idea of kind of what's going on here. There you go.
One of the big issues that I do see is that we have these people that are out on bond and they are constantly violating their terms. What is the point of having terms if they're not being held accountable for violating them? Because they'll come back to court, they'll have this, the DA will say, we want to revoke their bond because they're not following their conditions. And the judge will say, stop that, and just let them right back out. They don't have to pay anymore. They just reinstate their bond and set them right back out.
And just in case anybody, it's not just Houston, it's almost every major city in this country is dealing with the same thing, but this guy's supposed to be in jail in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what else I got here? There you go.
We have hundreds of people that have died by somebody out on a PR bond.
Yep. Yep. And this is just 42-year-old career criminal on probation. It's free on multiple bonds. Free on multiple bonds, you know.
That's the
Uh,
thing is that, before if you got out on bail and you committed another crime, then your next bond amount would be enhanced. And then after that, you'd have another enhancement after that. You don't get any more. There's only, when you ask for second chances, it doesn't mean 13 chances. It also doesn't make sense to me that if you're on probation, especially if you're on probation in multiple counties for multiple charges, do you get out of jail when you commit another crime? And I've seen, so the judge that was over the majority of my cases, he, so they, with PR bonds, there's charges that they cannot give a PR bond to, and they're going to be, sex crimes, um, very violent felonies. They can't do PR bonds for. So what these judges are doing is they will set a cash bail amount of $100 instead. Since they can't let them out for free, they can let them out for $100. And yeah, you're right there, pundit. they want the fame in the YouTube channels, but they don't really want accountability. That's for sure. But my judge, I followed this case that he had an offender who'd been charged with multiple domestic violence charges. He beat up, and there were 3 different females within a year that he had constantly terrorized. And he would get out of jail, and he didn't care about a restraining order. He went right back, and one of them, he kidnapped her. He stole her phone, he kidnapped her, and he sexually assaulted her. And this judge let him out of jail for $1. $1. And what I didn't realize at the time, and then I learned later, because I was really getting frustrated with him constantly giving everybody that was involved in my robberies probation, I started researching my judge. And he had been arrested himself for domestic violence charges. And then his accuser recanted and the charges were dropped. And then he was arrested again for domestic violence charges over New Year's weekend a couple years ago. And while he was going through all that, he said that he would take a couple of weeks off while he figured out what he was going to be doing, how they were going to proceed. He was out on bail in this county, and it was Galveston County. And one of the most egregious things that happened with that case is typically when you have a victim, especially with domestic violence, on the court records, they are not named. They are named by Jane Doe or by initials. Galveston County named her in the paperwork and listed him as John Doe. So now her identity is public. And that just really threw me off. So because he's a judge, he's listed as John Doe, but his victim was named in the charging documents that are public record for everybody to see. And he said, I'm going to take some time off, and I'm going to take a couple weeks off and figure out what's going on with this. And that was Friday. And then Monday, I get a text from a defense attorney, and he said, guess who's on the bench? And I said, you're kidding. He said, no, he's here. And I said, oh, okay. So I got in my car and I drove downtown, and I went up to his courtroom, and I sat there and I stared at him, and he's just sitting there, and he was listening to a domestic violence case where the victim died. And we're talking about somebody who's been accused with domestic violence, hearing domestic violence cases in his court. And he gave this person who killed her girlfriend probation. And I took a picture of him sitting up on the bench, and I walked out and I sent it to a journalist, and I was like, well, back on the bench. And so the district attorney's office asked him to recuse himself from all domestic violence cases that he had, and he refused. And so we filed complaints with the SCJC, and they suspended him. And then his victim down the road, again, mind you, her information is public record now, everybody knows, withdrew her charges, and they were dropped. And then not long after that, he killed himself. He killed himself driving drunk and hit a pole after a Texans game with her in the car. Luckily, she survived and he died. And I did not feel bad. That man put me through a lot. He would be scrolling on Facebook while I'm testifying. He wasn't paying attention. He was giving all of his attention to the defendant. He wasn't paying attention to us at all. And then what he did to victims by letting their perpetrators out for $1, not revoking their bond when they are violating their restraining orders, he's a piece of shit. And he killed himself. And I hope it's really hot where he is right now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That would
So
be
I showed that.
Frank Aguilar was his name. He's a piece of
I'm yeah. Um, let's see here. I had this up. I just want to put this back on here, and so people consider this city, Houston, kind of, inner loop, maybe out to the Beltway. But I did want to, in case you think it's not everywhere, zoom out a little bit. This is all the way out in the burbs. Yeah, it's concentrated in some places, some hot areas. If you live in Houston, but it's all over out there.
and
I
it
think I
didn't
only
used
have
to
one
be.
more of these slides here. And that was where we were talking about earlier. It's just the younger, people committing these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So
One of the there's two things that I do want to bring up that I really want to leave with people that are going to watch this. And I need to just send you their pictures real quick. We have our organization president is Bob Noel and his wife Rosemary. Their daughter Liz Barraza was murdered 7 years ago. Just a couple days ago was her 7-year anniversary, and her murder is still unsolved. So I really want to make sure that people realize that there is still a $50,000 Crime Stopper reward or any information leading to the killer of Liz Barraza. Bob was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. We don't know if we have him here for a couple of months, if we're going to have him here for a couple of years. We don't know. And I really would like to see her murder solved before he passes. One of the saddest things, God, I love Bob, that he said when he found out that he had cancer is that if her murder is not solved before he dies, he's going to know who killed her before we do. And he'll try to send us messages. Look at Jessica. It's very important for us. But the other one that I really want to make sure that people see is we are still looking for Elvio Mancebo. Elvio Mancebo was, he killed 2 people and he was convicted. He was convicted of murder, and his defense attorney asked the judge if he could go home for the weekend to get his affairs in order and say goodbye to his family. And she said he's been convicted of murder. He's been given 50 years. He has to come back on Monday for his sentencing. If he doesn't come back, then we're going to enhance that to 60 years. And I don't know what in the hell made her think that somebody convicted of murder and given 50 years in TDC is going to come back. And he has not. So we're still looking for Elvio. He's known, he's from New Jersey. He's from the Dominican Republic. He has ties to Puerto Rico and New Jersey. His godmother lives in New Jersey. She was the one who hid him for quite a bit. So I do want to bring up, he's on our FBI's most wanted list for Houston, and he will continue to be until he's caught. But it's very important for his victims that he is caught. But we definitely, yes, we need justice for Liz. While Bob is still with us, I do not ever want to see anything happen to Bob without having justice for his daughter. She was such a beautiful girl. And Bob and Rosemary are the absolute sweetest people I've ever met in my life. Bob has been so selfless in his fight for justice for his daughter, but not also just his daughter. He has been integral in crime victims for Harris County. Bob started with Tom Ramsey, the Memorial Bench project that Tom Ramsey does. And so Tom Ramsey is putting memorial benches for homicide victims in all of his precinct parks. And so Liz has a bench. Caleb Rickenbacker has a bench. Jocelyn Nungaray has the memorial bench. This was Bob. Bob's doing this for other victims in Harris County while his daughter's murder is still unsolved. And so I really want people to just remember Liz Barraza. It's been 7 years. We really want to find justice for her family, and her killer needs to be brought in and prosecuted for sure before Bob passes. I'm trying not to cry. I'm not going
for a second. Okay, no, yeah, we're good. Do you, all politics aside, do you think Whitmire is doing a decent job of lowering crime?
Doing a decent job. The thing with Mayor Whitmire, and even, he was our longest serving senator. Crime was important to him when he was a senator. He was a huge asset to have to get things passed. It's always been something that he has focused on is crime. And that's one of the reasons why he wanted to run for mayor, was because the city is out of control. And so he ran his campaign on crime and, getting crime down and having a good relationship with the police departments and everybody else. And he's gotten a lot of bad press because he has not done a lot of the little pet projects. Public safety is his number one concern. And until we have a handle on public safety, he's kind of put some other things for later. And he has said that, he's going to let the law enforcement run their departments the way they should be run without any limitations because of political anything. And people don't like that. They also didn't like it when Kim Ogg was charging Democrats because she's a Democrat, because apparently crime only has one side. So they don't like it if you don't fall in line. And so he's gotten a pretty bad rap, but I think he's doing really good as mayor. I really like John Whitmire. He's always been there for us. He's always shown up for us. He truly is empathetic to what we're going through. Always has been, and he always will, but he truly does care.
I feel that. And I mean, considering the choices, I voted for him, but yeah, I've always thought of him to be a solid, individual. So
he works harder than anybody I know. I don't think that man sleeps but 3 hours a day. I swear. He is out there at night. He shows up. He's there all day. He's just constantly going and going. I mean, John Whitmire works harder than most people my age, and he's older than me, for sure. And I'm tired watching John, and he's still going. Yeah. He's a busy man. He works very hard.
Okay, I got your image there. Let me see if I can. Thing. Let me see if I can put that here.
Well, I guess I could have sent it to you on Twitter.
Well, yeah, that's easier because I have that open.
Okay. And then if you go to my pinned post on my page, is going to have Liz Barraza.
Okay.
Her parents were just interviewed by Fox yesterday as well to bring more attention to that. So there's convicted murderer Elvio.
I'm trying to figure out how to get that over to here. Let's see. It's funny because I was reading today, since I haven't live streamed in a while, that sometimes I use Brave browser and they're like, oh, sometimes Brave has issues with live stream. So I used Google Chrome for this. I had no idea that YouTube was going to nuke the whole live stream before it ever even started.
Uh-huh. as my cat screams at me. Hey, Jess, do you have Liz's Crime Stoppers photo? Oh, I think I found it. I did.
Here's your pinned post.
Yes, there's our Liz. I just sent you her Crime Stoppers poster. We have dedicated to making sure that her story is put out every single day until her killer is found.
So I'm hopping back and forth between two browsers now.
Isn't technology fun?
Everything would have been fine had YouTube not
Thanks, Jess. Right, they hadn't
apparently
kicked
they
us.
thought we were going to talk about something offensive or I don't know. Let's see. File. Okay. Give me a second on that and I'll try to figure that out.
Okay,
There we go. Okay.
I'll just keep babbling. Like I can just keep babbling.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I was going to say, I know that, several of us in the organization had gone to testify before the legislative committees and, one here, one there, one there. And we noticed that when we went as a group, it made a difference. And so organizing, there's Elvio Mancibo, convicted murderer, went home to say bye to his family, never came back.
Imagine that.
Obviously. Yeah, obviously. So I'm really proud of the work that Texas Crime Victims United has done. When we went to testify um, in front of the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee, we had a lot of opposition. We had every abolish prison, abolish bail organization there wearing matching T-shirts and being loud, and they were there to testify against everything that we wanted to testify for. And the chair of the committee, Chair Smithy, said, "Well, we've got a lot of people to testify for these, so we're going to hold these till the end." It was a long day. It was a long day. There's our Liz. And so we
Okay.
sat there. We sat there for 13 hours. We were there. You can't really leave, or you lose your chance to speak. So we're just running in and out of the room to go to the bathroom real quick. And we outlasted the opposition. By the time it was time to testify, it was just us and the ACLU. And the ACLU, they were not received very well at all. And so it gave us an opportunity for every single one of us to use our voices to speak. And we had the floor. And I think it really made a difference in the decisions that were made that came out of that committee for bills that were passed and this constitutional amendment that did come through. But yes, there's Liz's Crime Stopper photo. We've got to find her killer. I'm gonna cry again.
So that's come into play that that constitutional amendment has come into play in a couple of big cases recently, right? The school bus deal, and then one other one which is escaping me right now, but
yes, they have Emily DeToto is a Republican judge, and she was the first one to use Proposition 3 to hold somebody in jail without bail. And it was just monumental to me, like, holy crap, we did it. This person, it was used, they have the kid that stabbed his classmate in Goose Creek ISD. Proposition 3 was used. So he's a violent dude, man. He's a violent dude, and he was just in high school. And now he's being held without bail because, you know, it was deemed that he's violent and needs to not be out. And then these kids that killed Miss Strip over here on the Metro bus can now be held without bail. So what a lot of people don't realize is this is not default. It doesn't apply to every crime. It's a very narrow list of the most vile and violent crimes available in the state of Texas. And if the district attorney asks for them to be held without bail because of Proposition 3, it's not automatic. They have a hearing just like they would. You know, they had the ability to hold people without bail before. The judges just weren't doing it. And then there was no reasoning behind why they didn't want to do it. And so the only crime that was, you know, they could hold without bail was capital murder. And so now we have 9 other aggravated felonies they can hold it. So they have a hearing and they're able to defend themselves and they're able to present a case on why they think they should be able to get out on bail. And the judge can be like, yeah, I hear you. But also you're out on 6 different bonds and you're very violent and this and that. So I'm going to go ahead and we're not going to let you out this time. And with that, they have to submit in writing their decision, whether they decided to hold them without bail or whether they decided that they did. So it makes it very transparent to the public on a judge's decision on why they let somebody out or why they didn't. So it holds the judges more accountable to their bail decisions than before. It's just like, why did you let him out of jail? And he's got 7 other bonds and he's got a felony conviction a mile long. And they would just tell you, well, I can't speak on cases that are open. We can't, judicial privilege. We can't say. And so now they have to. They have to put in the court record why they made that decision. And the defendants do get a hearing. So it's literally due process. There's no rights that are being violated. They have their due process. They're able to defend themselves. They have an attorney. And if the judge then, the state proved their case more than the defense, the judge can make the decision to hold them without bail. And I think that that's very fair. The opposition is saying it's going to cause our jail to be full. When we were pushing for this and we looked at, it's really only going to affect, just a few thousand people statewide that are charged with these crimes. So how are we just going to we're just going to fill the jail? 85% of our jail right now are very violent offenders. You want these people out? No. This is what jail is for.
Do we care if the jail is crowded? We don't want them to be comfortable. Yes. They're not in there to be comfortable.
Out here with us in the crowded streets, that's where they belong. That's the whole purpose of having a jail, is to keep these violent people. Do I want somebody charged with a petty misdemeanor sitting in jail? No. But do I want somebody with 7 felonies, a manslaughter conviction, and a violent past held in jail when they're out there killing people? Absolutely, I do. Do I want somebody who's been given a misdemeanor ticket for jaywalking held in jail? No, that's not what we're talking about. But that's what was happening, is that we were blurring the lines between petty misdemeanors and violent felonies when they were letting everybody out of jail. And so judges were saying our hands are tied. We have to let them out. So we untied their hands. Now you don't have to. Stop using that excuse.
I think that I covered most of. I just, we have mutual followers and people on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And I still have a hard time not calling it Twitter.
Calling it Twitter. I'm old. I don't like change. Yeah, I don't zeet. I tweet.
Yes. So I was interested in doing this live stream. I just kind of wanted to get your story out to maybe some people that don't live in Houston, that it may be going on in their city, that may be able to do something about it. And that's kind of why I wanted to have you on.
Yes, we did, Jessica. We gave them their tools, a screwdriver, a hammer, and everything. And yes, we're going to call it Twitter till the day we die.
Yeah.
Kitty cat. Move, kitty cat.
Yeah. my cat keeps
Anybody
pestering me too.
watching that are not here in Harris County, that are not familiar with who we are, our website is TexasCrimeVictimsUnited.org, or TCVU for short. Either one pulls it to our website. Our stories are there. We have membership applications there. We have sections, how can you help? When we start doing events and we start going back, because man, we're going back again. Next legislative session, expect to see us back in full force again. That worked out great. We're going to do that again. We would love to have more people join us. And so we're definitely here. Even if you just have a question about your trial process, we're here to educate because all of us have lived it. Every single one of us is a crime victim that's in this organization. And we've lived it. We're willing to help. We're willing to educate. So again, TexasCrimeVictimsUnited.org or TCVU.org or .com. It finds us. Definitely check us out. We're here to help. We are all volunteers. None of us are paid. We do this on our own time because we care. And we will continue to fight for crime victims, not just in Harris County, but the entire state of Texas. This constitutional amendment was not just for Harris County, it's for the whole state. And the whole state stood behind us and they voted for it and it passed. And I want to thank everybody in the state of Texas that voted for Proposition 3 because it meant everything to every single one of us for that constitutional amendment to pass. So thank you.
Also, if you follow Michelle on Twitter at theshellbelle, which is in her name right there, and also you have a Substack, right? What is the
Yes.
where do they find that?
Same name, and I have the link in my bio on my Twitter to my Substack as well. Listen, some of my stuff is pretty unhinged, but it's always going to be honest. It's always going to be factual. I don't deal with opinions. I deal with black and white data and facts. So what I put out is not an opinion. It's going to be fact. And so my Substack is linked on my Twitter. There we are at the Shell Bell. Will find me, and I encourage anybody that needs help and has questions about the process through trial, definitely reach out to us. We're always willing to help. Jessica for Justice down there watching and hanging out with us, commenting, is my absolute partner in crime. We we think the same, we talk the same, we act the same. And so the two of us, we are definitely twins from different misters. She's got red hair. I do not, but we're twins. So either one of us are always willing to help and answer. She's got her own stream that she does at times too. And we get in there and we're unhinged together. So that's, we are all over the place, but we're always willing to help. We're always willing to answer questions. Oh, come on, Pundit. We do. And then I don't know if you know this, but Texas Pundit has the best coffee in the city of Houston. Well, I'm going to say the state of Texas because I don't drink coffee outside of the state of Texas. But she happens to have a brewery in Houston. It's really good coffee. I'm going to go get it. Hold on. I'm going to show you. Don't play with me, baby.
Well, I appreciate the both of you for showing up. So if you don't know what happened, because I don't think you were able to get in, YouTube decided for whatever reason my stream was going to be offensive or was going to offend somebody or did something, but they nuked my whole live stream. I had the post up for 2 weeks before this and they just decided to nuke it. So I had to start a new stream. This will stay up on YouTube unless they, Okay, here we go. What do we got here?
This is crime victim coffee. I said,
oh, fantastic. Move it forward a little bit. You're blurred into your background. There you
go. My little house. Hold on. Let me see if there we go.
That's Julie's house.
Yeah, we're in Julie's house. I love this coffee. So Texas Pundit, this is her coffee. And they do have a brewery here in Houston and they sell this at HEB and they have several flavors and I'm hooked. This one is the Mexico. It's a medium roast. Yeah. So if you like to support, if you like to support local businesses, that's it. They have it at HEB.
100%. I will pick that up. Actually, I have to go to HEB soon, so I will pick it up. I drink 1 cup of coffee a day, so I want it to be really good.
I drink 4,
So
so and I do like it. It's really good. They have several flavors, but yes, no, I really do like their coffee. It is a family-owned business, and she is amazing, and she is a great she's a great ally to have here. Love her so much. And so I like to support our local businesses, especially businesses that support us as victims. And
yeah,
she's writing a book about her
nice.
journeys as well with other things. And so I love that's the biggest part about that I love about social media. As much as I hate social media, I love the people that I meet, like all of you guys, and being able to network and have fun together and have a community. Um, Other than everything that I hate about social media, that's what I love about social media is all of you guys that I get to meet.
We used to drink
We're
3 or 4 cups. I
lightweight.
took myself down to 1,
Don't call me
but
names.
if it's really good coffee, I may have break my rule and have 2.
It is really good coffee. Even my dad, who's a total coffee snob, was like, I really like this. I'm going to need a bigger box. Like, okay. So luckily they have boxes of 80 and he likes
Okay,
it. It's really
perfect.
good.
Yeah, I don't like
Now
going to
my
the store very
animals are
much
running.
because, people and things, so I try to buy like large packages.
Yeah. I don't like to go in public much. So the most I can get at one time, the better. So I don't have to go back.
Yep, yep. So for the 3 people that are in here now, and or no, we have 5. We have 5 watchers.
We have 5.
Um, yeah, so the Twitter X side for you that those of you that don't know, I run a 2A channel mostly. I do a lot of product reviews, but I do some 2A commentary and things like that as well. So to me, it kind of plays in a little bit. Um, I don't go anywhere in this city unarmed. I don't go to places that I can't carry. I don't go
Correct.
to the post office. I don't go to those places. There's a postal station in an Ace Hardware that's not too far from me. I go there. I don't I'll tell you, I've lived in Houston for 33 years. I'm not from here. I grew up in Wyoming. I never felt unsafe in this city really and I lived in some rough areas of Houston until really about the last like 10 years. To me, I mean, I lived in a couple of the wards in the 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I never really thought much about it, but
I'm saying,
oh,
see, look at it. I
nice.
was about to say we have some other 2A friends in here. I mean, if I can't take
Yeah,
my
nice.
dog and my gun, I'm not going. I'm
Yeah,
not going.
exactly. Yeah, I think,
And
oh,
I
sorry,
grew
go
up
ahead.
I was say I grew up in Alief in the late 80s and throughout the 90s, and we had a whole full on gang war going on. Back in the day, Kim Ogg, well before she was district attorney, was on the gang task force, and at that time, and I was not as afraid of being outside as I am now. And we're talking, we had a lot of crime, we had a lot of gang activity, we had a lot. I mean, it was huge, full on gang war in the southwest side of town, and I still felt okay going outside in my neighborhood because we all knew who each other were. We knew who belonged there and who didn't. And now I don't like to go outside because you never know.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
never know. So if I
You
can't take
never
my
know.
gun
You never
or
know.
my dog,
And it,
I'm not going.
yep, and that plays back into the younger generation. Like 20 years ago, you see a 15-year-old kid, you're not thinking, hey, this kid's gonna mug me or, pull a gun on me or something. Now it's like, wait, you're wearing a hoodie, you got your hands in your pockets, you're looking at me all crazy. I think I'm gonna go,
Yeah.
it's just a different world. It's a different world, not in
Considering
a good
I've
way.
had a 12-year-old girl hold me at gunpoint. Mm-mm. And then what bothered like after, what we had the pandemic and
Jeez.
everybody had to wear masks and everything else. Um, After all these robberies, I finally moved, to another store, and I was up in Spring, and um, me and my rep that were working there, both of us had come from the Shepherd location where we've been robbed together, and we're now moved up to this little store in Spring that should have been safe, and everybody's wearing face coverings and stuff, and George and I are sitting in the store by ourselves. We're waiting on customers, and this dude comes running through. I mean, running full speed, hoodie. He's got a bandana over his face, and he comes running in, and George and I just freeze because I'm like, "What? Oh God, we're getting robbed in Spring." Like I'm like, what can I throw at this guy? And he's finally just standing there. We're staring at him. He's staring at us, and he's like, "I need to pay my bill." I said, "Bro, do not run in here with a
Right.
hoodie and a bandana over your face. You are about to get jumped. Like, understand it is not okay. When they say wear a
Yeah.
mask, it is not a hoodie and a bandana. Stop that. Stop that." But I
Yeah.
catch myself like I see them outside, just walking around the neighborhood, and it's hot outside, and they're wearing hoodies. And I'm like, "What are you hiding? What's in there? What you got?" Like, I don't trust people anymore. And I never used to be that
So
way.
is that a new fashion trend? Because I see it more and more and more.
Yes, it's boys.
Is
My
I
kid's the
guess.
same way. It's summertime and he's wearing shorts and a hoodie. I'm like, take that off. Aren't you hot? No. Liar.
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
it's boys. But yeah, no, I see more and more with just wearing the hoodies just all year round. But I see them outside, like the kids are just walking around, and I'm already on edge. Like that's not fair to feel that way, because crime is
Yeah,
just so out of control in Harris County. It's not fair that any of us should have to be afraid to go outside and see somebody wearing a hoodie, especially a kid.
I
When
mean,
you've been robbed by a
and,
12-year-old, it's a whole different experience. My kid is 12. I can't
yeah,
imagine.
exactly. I don't
What
even
do you
know if I mean, I would take it serious, but it's also like this 12-year-old kid, like, what is going on here? I
Of
gotta hop
course,
up for just a second. I'll be
they
be
brought her
back in
back
like
and
30
she's
seconds.
crying. Yeah.
Feel free to talk about whatever you'd like. I'll be right back.
I'm good. I'm gonna drink water and sniff my coffee. So you thought I didn't have any more. Sniffing my coffee. Yeah, I still have some. It is really good coffee. Well, my animals are going feral over here. Sorry, here we are. Oh, sorry about that. Tesla over here trying to swallow the cat. Hey.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about
Right.
that.
Oh
Oh
man,
no,
Jess, I hope you have a good vacuum cleaner.
you're right.
But that's what they're good for. Mariana, I'm running a little low though. I'm gonna have to go get some more. my crack coffee.
I'm not sure if I'm sure I probably do follow you, Texas Funding, but if I don't, I will. Uh, as soon as we're done with the stream, I'll take care of
Both
that
of these
little bit of
ladies
business.
are amazing. I love them very
Yeah,
much.
I already follow Jessica, so
Yeah,
okay.
that's my red-headed twin. And there is her handle. She's awesome. Both of these ladies are, I am very honored to call them my friends. And they put up with me when I'm I'm in my, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm hiding in my room. I'm sitting in the closet on the floor crying moods. They tolerate me, so I love that. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, I started following you because I follow some other Common Sense Bob and a few other Houston area, you know, people.
My Bob has
And I
gotten me
just
in some trouble.
um but no, I started following you and we interact here and there and whatever. But I started following people you follow because I realized a lot of them are in doing the same thing you're doing, which is I think is admirable. I think
Thank
it's
you.
important. So that's
I appreciate
exactly
you
why I
having
wanted
me
to have you
on.
on.
I'm
Yeah,
really honored
absolutely.
to be here when people listen and I get to ramble. It's fun and I didn't have to leave my house. So if I had to leave my house to talk to people, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I work in a job where I talk to people all day long and then I come home and my social battery's on like zero, so
Yeah.
I get that. If I could not leave the house ever, I probably wouldn't.
I saw
But
a post the other
yeah.
day where it said, how do people just stay in your house all day long?" And the response was, "All my stuff is here, and I don't like people."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like I like being here in Julie's house.
Yeah, Julie's house.
Julie's
So for
house is
the
nice.
so for for y'all that didn't see the beginning, I was doing a live stream once and I was using that background and one of the commenters was like, "What are you doing in Julie's house?" And I'm like, "What? What are you talking? Are you talking to me?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's Julie's house. Why are you in her house?" Okay, so
Yeah, we hang out in Julie's house. There's a bright foyer over here. Got our grand piano over here. I haven't turned the
yep.
fireplace on. It's not cold enough yet, but we love it here in Julie's house. But yeah, so well, I do follow a lot of like-minded people, and I've gotten to be really good friends with a lot of them. So we do have a lot of mutuals. And yes, oh Bob, that's right, Jessica. Oh
Yeah.
Bob, we love our Bob. Um, Bob is very loud like the rest of us. But what I want to say, the one thing I did appreciate about Bob, and what a lot of people don't realize when you're dealing with trauma the way that we are sometimes too, that being out and being in public and being speaking it's very exhausting. And so the day that we went to Austin to go testify, I didn't realize it was going to be 13 hours, but I knew that I was going to have to get up in front of strangers and everybody watching the legislative session streamed everywhere and tell everybody what happened to me. And I'm going to have to relive this memory in front of strangers and I am not going to be okay afterwards. And so I asked Bob to drive me. I'm like, we'll take my car, but I really need somebody to drive me because I'm not going to be able to drive myself home afterwards. And Bob was so gracious. And he was like, sure. Showed up at my house at 5 o'clock in the morning. We got our coffee and our breakfast. We drove to Austin and we sat there until 11 o'clock at night, and he sat there with us the whole time. We're reading the paper, messing around on his phone. He just sat there and silently supported us the whole day. And then he drove me home. He dropped me off. He got back in his car. He went home, and I stayed in bed for 6 days. I didn't
Well,
talk to anybody. I didn't want to go anywhere. It's a lot to recover, and so I will always thank Bob for that, for being the best the best driver I ever had, even though I made him eat P. Terry's with me. We and go to Bucky's twice. He was the best driver. And I will have him
so
do it again.
I've
But
never met Bob or anything in person, but it always cracks me up because one of his favorite comments is neck tats. Well, it always just makes me laugh. I worked at a tattoo shop for a long time, so yeah, I've got
yeah,
some ink. But every time he says that,
I'm
I
like,
do
oh, it's
respond
the
to
neck
those.
tats here.
I
I
just put
think
a
it's
little
the ones
laughing
that
face.
are
Yeah,
it's the ones right here
right.
that say
Yeah,
713. Like we don't know
yeah, 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 yeah.
what your area code is.
Right.
713 or
Yep.
the no regrets. That's the
Yeah.
one.
No regrets.
No regrets. That's always gotta love. I love the neck tats. I know that's his favorite thing to say. And it's so funny because pretty much everywhere that I am not covered with clothes, I have tattoos. But my dad is like super old fashioned, old school, who just convinced me that if you had visible tattoos, you were a biker or a gangster. So I refuse to ever get tattoos anywhere that you could see without normal clothes on because I didn't want to be a biker or gangster. It's
Yeah.
not the same anymore, but it was back in the 70s.
So, do you ever, or do any of you, Texas Pundit or Jessica, have y'all ever tried the Twitter Spaces? Have you ever had a space on any of this?
Yes, we've
Okay.
done spaces before. We've done quite a few with different groups. And then we have one on Saturdays of just friends. We just get in there Saturday night and just talk about everything and talk about nothing all at the same time. And we're all pretty feral in there. But we do get in spaces quite often about politics and about crime. And I probably, once we get past elections, we'll probably start doing some more spaces on there about crimes. But we've got the attorney general and our county judge because that crazy loon is out of here. So we've got some pretty important elections coming up that we're going to be focused on for a while. Yeah, Jessica's our tech streamer. She's in charge of technology for us. I know how to use my
Yeah.
phone.
Go ahead.
I'll say I know how to use my phone. Phone. Anything else? Jessica's in charge.
Yeah, you know, YouTube they switched their algorithm. It's all AI. The monitoring of videos, of content, whatever, the compliance department, it's all AI now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm already very careful what I post now. Just
Yeah,
I've had a couple things taken down that were not anything that should have been taken down, but they're just cracking more and more down on the kind of content I make. And apparently this stream was thought to be something like that. So
that's
I
so
might have to
crazy.
I might have to stream it somewhere else if I do something like this again. So
Yeah, we could always do
it's a
spaces.
bummer. Yeah, it's a bummer because I put this up, like I said, like a week and a half ago. I put the post up for it and sent it out to my little YouTube group, and then they nuked it. So very disappointing that more people didn't see. But hopefully, up on the channel, we'll get some people still watching it after we're done here. So
Yeah, for sure. We can always do it again, and I can't wait.
yeah,
It's good.
sure, that sounds good.
Like interest, and we'll let Jessica talk next time.
Yeah, there we go. I can actually I think I can fit without paying a bunch extra for StreamYard. I think I could fit 4 people on screen.
Okay, we'll do it again. Just we'll make you talk, and Pundit, we could do spaces for sure over coffee.
Yeah, I didn't. There we go.
Drink our coffee and do space. We should do a coffee and crime spaces. That's what we need to do.
That's perfect. Very catchy.
Coffee and crime. We'll do it. And guns.
Listen, well, I guess we'll wrap this up unless you have anything else you want to. No.
No, we'll wait. If anybody has any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out. And I really, really am not now. You have your mask on. No, not right now. I want to go to bed another time. But yeah, if anybody wants to reach out, Jessica and I, like I said, we're always here and we're always willing to answer questions. We're always willing to jump in a space or a stream and talk to people and just try to keep the public informed. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here and talk out into space and let people hear us for years on end. It'll be there. You can see how unhinged we are all the time. And don't forget to get your coffee. I don't get paid to say this. I just really like this coffee.
It
I need a
seems
lot of
authentic.
it. I swear, look, it's even open. I know I'm drinking it. I really do. I don't get paid to say that. It's really good coffee, but I do love supporting our local businesses, especially when they're friends.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, local businesses are where it's at.
She's a big 2A
Well,
girl,
we'll have
just
to.
like me.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. All right. Well, it's been fun. I appreciate you coming on. Sorry for the technical difficulties out
That's
of my
okay.
hands, but
We'll leave it up to
we'll try it
YouTube to
again
mess up our
sometime. And
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
No worries. We'll
All
do
right.
it
Well,
again. I look forward to it. Thank you again for having me. And we are here at all times, and we can't wait for coffee and crime next time.
awesome. See you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you all
Bye.
for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Put my glasses back on. Bye.